House show. La, da, 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 da. That's what we in the biz call a reference. What is a house show? First of all, I am playing a show on February 27th at Philly Style Pizza near Temple University. So if you live in Philadelphia and you're watching this before February 27th at 7 p.m., you should come to the show. It's gonna be really fun. So, you ready? You're just some guy at Temple. Thanks. You're the one. So if that sounds like fun to you, you should come to the show. I'm really excited. I actually have been working really hard on it, so yeah, it's gonna be fun. But it's been making me think how much I love house shows / basement shows / punk shows and how important they are. To address the elephant in the room, yes, I am standing up today instead of sitting down. I know, many people are probably going to be talking about it. It's going to be revolutionizing things, so just be ready for that. Basically, I'm standing up because I had to be in person today at my office job. So sitting the whole time because I'm at my standing desk at work. And so I was sitting, and now I feel crazy. And so I think if I sit down, I will lose my mind. Like, I will go nuts. I'm probably gonna sleep standing up, etc. What is a house show? Okay, so I grew up in the middle of nowhere, pretty famously. Insert some pictures here of Tunkhannock, Pennsylvania. We've actually been going semi-viral recently. I keep seeing TikToks talking about the last remaining Pizza Hut, or there was like a news article about it as well. We used to call it Pizza Butt. Like, I don't know what you're talking, like, it's not a vibe, it's not a thing, it's not a nostalgic little throwback, it's like, that's Pizza Butt. I don't know. I guess it is kind of a vibe, but like, for me, it's not a vibe because I don't like Pizza Hut. So it's like, no matter how nostalgic and old the building is, like, Pizza Hut's still terrible. It's like, oh my god, it's the last classic sewage factory. Like, okay. And what am I supposed to do about that? Dude, there's only one child-killing plant left. This is the last one. Isn't it such a throwback vibe? When I was growing up, my concept of what music is and where it came from was either what was playing on the radio. As I got older, what I was listening to on like Spotify, obviously, but like I knew people did music on YouTube. Like I knew people uploaded their music to YouTube and then became famous from that. And I knew conceptually that small bands existed and that they played somewhere, but like I think if you'd asked me at 15 like where do small bands play, I would have not have really known. I would have said like a bar. I don't know that any of the bars in Tunkhannock do live music though. Like it wasn't a thing. And so I guess I always knew that there was like the concept of small bands existing, but I never really knew, like I thought the whole goal was just to become famous, and until they became famous, I don't really know what I thought they did. I guess I thought they went to talent shows at the county fair and that was about it, In 2020, during COVID, ever heard of the coronavirus, the novel coronavirus? Basically, I was watching a lot of TikTok. I used to watch Madeline Pendleton a lot, and she used to talk a lot about the punk show scene of Fresno where she grew up. And like, she'd find shows from flyers and she'd go to people's bands, and it was like this queer-friendly space, and her friends had a great time and la-di-da. And I'm watching these videos and I'm like, I have never heard of this in my entire life. That sounds like so much fun. I was really excited to go to college and like go to shows. Like genuinely, I mean, it sounds silly if you go to shows all the time, you probably take them for advantage, or if you grew up in a city where if you grew up somewhere where there's a local music scene, you definitely take it for granted and don't realize, but like we didn't have shit in Tunkhannock, like at all, it was literally the county fair, and like okay, to be fair, one thing we did have, and I don't want to knock this, I don't want her to think I'm negating this. My English teacher, who I love dearly, I owe a lot of my creative confidence to her, ran like a monthly open mic. That was the only real like local kind of scene for like, I guess, my age group, and that was a really important space for me growing up. So it's not like I didn't have anything. We had this one thing once a month, and it was in a community center. It's not like we were drinking. Not that that's that important, but it's important in the sense that like it was adult supervised to an extent. Like we could do whatever, you know what I mean? But like people's parents came. So it was more of like a show, an event, versus like a house show, which can kind of be like a social gathering a little bit more than these open mics were. As a queer person, stuff like having an open mic is really important to, growing up gay and like needing a place to go. I wasn't even out in high school, but still subconsciously, you know, that's where all the gay people were, whether they were out or not. Like, we were all in that room, or like gay adjacent. Like, I actually used to MC our open mics. I'm gonna insert a clip here if I can find it. The point in all this is I didn't know what a house show was. I was super excited to go to one, and I spent my first year of college in the suburbs of Philadelphia, where there are no house shows. But then finally I moved to Temple University and was super excited to go to a bunch of house shows, and I did. And it was so much fun. It like literally has been such an awesome thing. I mean, it's just really great to, you know, be around other artists and other queer people and see people doing cool things. As a musician, it's inspiring. I get to hear lots of different kinds of music, all that good stuff, right? So if you've never been to a house show, what is it? If you're that 17-year-old growing up in the middle of nowhere, which was me, you know, Madeline Pendleton was really important to me because she was making content about the punk scene that I didn't have access to. And so I want to be that resource for somebody. So what is a house show? It's bands playing in a basement, mostly, sometimes a living room, sometimes, more commonly than a living room, a yard. Typically these shows have 4 bands on the bill. They're run by the people who live in the house. That sounds obvious, but, you know, sometimes it's a little deeper than that. Like, there's, you know, I know a person who has a basement venue, but they also have, like, a booking collective where they act as a hub for booking shows in all these different little venues and blah-de-blah-de-blah. That's a little more expansive, right? But a lot of the time, it literally is just people who live in a house are like, let's throw shows in our basement. They're really fun. It's like, you know, you get to see lots of cool different kinds of music. There's punk, there's emo, there's rock, there's indie rock, there's blah 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 blah. These shows are open for anybody to come. Typically they're $10 to $15. They can be $5 if it's a newer venue. They can be $20 if it's like a band is coming in from out of town to do like a headline show on like a small tour. You know, they're from New York or something. Typically it's $10. Mostly it's BYO if that's important to you, but sometimes they sell like beer and shots and whatever. Probably like cash or Venmo kind of thing. Your next question is, okay, how do I find these shows? I used to find them there was an account called House Show Philly on Instagram that would like sort of collect all the shows for the week and then post like, here's all the Friday shows, here's all the Saturday shows for the weekend. As far as I know, that account is defunct now, or at least I haven't seen their posts anymore. I think they shut it down. I've been going to enough shows now and I have enough friends that are in bands or know people in bands, etc., that truthfully now if I want to go to a show, I will just go to a show of my friend or friend's band, or like a band that my friend wants to go see kind of thing. But when I was first starting out going to shows, when I just got to Temple, these accounts where they collect all the shows was really helpful because we would just go through and pick one based on the poster or whatever was closest to us or whatever. I'm sure something like this still exists in Philadelphia, and it probably exists in your city as well. I'm just kind of like too cool for that, and I have like all these friends and all that kind of stuff. So I do still see people do physical posters sometimes, kind of not as much. Some of these basements are doing 2 shows every single weekend. That's like a lot of posters. You have to print them, you have to hang them, blah-de-da. They're just on Instagram. You just gotta find them on Instagram, and you will. They're not that hard to find, especially if you go like, you know, I was in college. I probably could have gone up to any random person in the art building and been like, is your friend in a band? And they would be like, yep. Speaking of friends, house shows are a great place to make friends. In my experience, it's easier talking to random people at a house show because they're more likely to be dressed cool, which for me, like, that's my kind of go-to when I want to strike up a conversation is, oh my god, I like your bag. But also everyone there has in common the fact that they're there to see the band. So unlike a party where it can be kind of like, you know, at a house show, it's, you know, the band plays, there's a little intermission, you can go upstairs and, you know, see if anybody wants a cigarette or whatever. I don't know, I'm not going to tell you how to socialize. But also, if you are in a band or you're starting a band and you want to get booked for local shows, you have to make friends. Here's the thing about this. If you approach this like it's networking and you go to these shows with the goal of like, I need to befriend other bands to get on bills or befriend the owner of the venue to play here, like, they're gonna know. Like any other social situation, they're gonna know. And remember, the people running these venues are just like people that, you know, they live there. This is like their kitchen that you're standing in right now. They make their toast in the morning here. So it's more like you have to kind of go in and be genuinely pure of heart and actually like want to immerse yourself in the scene to be immersed in the scene. It sounds stupid, but if you're going at it as if it's like a fucking LinkedIn, it's not gonna work. You're not gonna get booked. Speaking of which, remember they are someone's basement and they're someone's house, so be respectful of that house. Maybe don't spray paint their toilet, or steal their food. If you've never been to a punk show, you might not know what moshing is. I've never actually moshed because I don't... Look, there's certain things where I'm like, you need to put yourself out of your comfort zone. For me, moshing just isn't one of them. I would spend the whole time paranoid that I'm gonna accidentally punch somebody so hard in the face that they die, which isn't humanly possible because I've never punched somebody in my entire life. Second of all, I don't want to be touched. Third of all, like, I don't know, I get icked out when I see men being really excited about things, and I feel like moshing is kind of an instance where, you know, men are probably being really excited about things. I don't really like men when they're yelling, just sort of, you know, not really my vibe, okay? But don't listen to me on this because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, other than I do love being on stage and telling people to mosh. It's really fun. And then I get to stand there with my microphone, like, I get to stand there like, and not have to engage with it at all. But yeah, if you're gonna mosh, obviously you're not supposed to like actually be hurting people, so don't do that. Chill out, be normal, etc. There's probably someone else you should listen to about this because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Are house shows queer friendly? Yes, with a large asterisk, unfortunately. Look, I would love to stand here and tell you that like house shows are this like mecca of queer acceptance and there's just like a big walking fucking pride parade in this little basement. Yeah, that's not really true. Look, first of all, just keep in mind, I'm probably more sensitive than the average bear to homophobia and microaggressions. I've just always been kind of a sensitive person, but also it's something really important to me. So maybe take this with a grain of salt. I don't know. Every time I'm at a house show, am I the only gay person there? No. Like without fail, I can look at the crowd and there's at least one other visibly gay person. And that's not even including, you know, the non-visibly, you know, the invisible gay people, right? And there's actually a surprising amount of like cis male homosexuals that go to house shows. I don't know why in my head it seems like a vibe that's like mostly straight men and lesbians, but there's actually like a lot more gay guys there than you, or I guess than I would expect. So there are queer people there. A lot of these basements are run by queer people, you know, because that's who like, that's where subculture, you know, sort of comes from a lot of the time. But also, it's kind of like any other social situation. Like there's always going to be well-meaning people who maybe in their minds like are cool with gay people theoretically, but then like in practice don't really like exhibit that through their actions and words kind of thing. Whether it's intentional or not, I don't know. Again, I can be kind of sensitive to this stuff, so whatever. But, you know, I don't want to paint it as like, you know, it's pride in a basement. It's not pride in a basement. Is there probably a higher average amount of queer accepting people at a house show? Yes. Like, inarguably, probably, yeah. Than like a frat party or something, right? You still have to like kind of be aware and all that good stuff. Sometimes you'll have a house show that's like the dudes, you know what I mean? And it's like, I'm in enemy territory. So yeah, definitely on average more queer friendly than like going to any random house party, I would say. You still have to kind of be aware that like, you know, again, maybe I'm just crazy, I don't fucking know. Before I continue, I don't want to forget, I just put 2 new songs out. One is called Take to My Ceiling and one is called Shelf Life. I really love both of them, so you should go give them a listen. You can also watch the music video for my song Some Guy at Temple, which is excellent. Been out for like 1.5 years, but it's still great. Hasn't aged one bit, so. Okay, something I used to be worried about when I first started going to house shows was that it felt like everyone else was better dressed and therefore more alt than me. This can be for 3 different reasons, okay? It could be they genuinely have cred, like they have a million patches on their jacket because they've been to a million different local shows and they bought a patch every single one. That could be it. That literally could be it, right? They could look really cool because they've genuinely thrifted their entire wardrobe. What? Oh, like me, yes. Or option 2, and this is my favorite coping mechanism, kind of in general for everything, actually. They probably just have rich parents. The great thing about they probably have rich parents thing that I found is that there's probably always someone richer than you, and it's probably unfathomable how much more money they have and the kinds of things they do with it. My parents helped pay for my education. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna sit here and act like I was raised with less money than I was, right? At the same time, you know, one time we went around the room in one of my entry-level business classes and everyone was telling about like one thing they did over the summer, and I was genuinely one of, I think, 3 people that did not go to Europe. And I don't just mean didn't go on vacation, I mean like didn't go to Europe specifically. I didn't know that was happening. Like, oh, you guys are all going to Europe. Some of them were in Europe for like a month. My point being, there will always be someone who's richer than you and has richer parents than you. So if they're wearing a lot of really cool seeming clothes, like Urban Outfitters intentionally makes clothes that are supposed to look cool and thrifty, but they're from Urban Outfitters. That's okay, like I'm not shaming you for buying them. Just don't be, tricked into thinking that, especially if it's someone that you've seen at a few different shows and every time you're like, oh my gosh, they have the craziest outfit ever. That costs a lot of money. Which actually brings me to point 3, which is that a lot of it's probably fast fashion. Look, not to toot my own horn, I don't purchase clothes from the store, like ever. Like I really just don't. I thrift everything or get it secondhand off eBay, which, look, I do this selfishly because it makes me feel better. I'm aware that by purchasing clothes secondhand and wearing new secondhand clothes, I'm still contributing to the cycle of fast fashion, right? If you see me in a YouTube video and every time I'm wearing a different t-shirt, it makes you subconsciously feel like you need more new clothes because Anthony always has new clothes. And so it doesn't really matter from a societal standpoint that they're all secondhand. Like it affects the ethical nature of the manufacturing of the clothes, the climate impact, the labor impact, stuff like that, which is important to me. But I'm aware that by being interested in fashion by default, I am contributing to the fast fashion cycle, okay? With that whole caveat, I do get everything secondhand. And so it's taken me a while to amass an alt wardrobe, per se, or a wardrobe that's cohesive and cool, and I have lots of different outfit options. I have accessories, I have piercings, all that good stuff. Speaking of piercings, they're expensive. Tattoos are expensive. Jewelry is expensive. Even if it's if all of it's $5, but you're wearing 50 different necklaces, that's a lot of money. And so if you see someone at a show, they're wearing like this super cool outfit with all these accessories, with a bunch of necklaces on, they have a million piercings, they have all these tattoos, etc. Don't be fooled by the fact that it can still be really expensive and they might still have their parents' money. Or like you can't just go 0 to 100 on that. I think the most punk thing in the world really is wearing the same outfit every single day. I don't do that because I'm a poser and I like fashion, but you can't sell wearing the same outfit every day at Hot Topic. So whatever. And you know what? Clothes are fun. Sorry, lock me up. House shows are really fun. You should go to them if you want to go to them with good intentions. If you're going to point and laugh at the weird kids, like don't come. Just don't. You know what I mean? It's just not. But if you want to do it for the artistic merit and like enjoying other people's music and all that good stuff, cheap entertainment, make friends, it's a lot of fun and it's super important. It's I know I was kind of like putting a lot of asterisks on the queer space of it all, but it is really important to have these like queer artistic spaces that are self-sustaining and self-policing and all that kind of good stuff. Artistic spaces for people to like goof around in their bands and whatever. It's really important. It's very important to the culture overall. Shout out anybody who's in a band. You're awesome. Shout out anybody who goes to local shows. They're also awesome. And again, I'm playing on February 27th, which is next Friday. So if you're watching this before then and you live in Philadelphia, you should come. Because we're really, really fun. I'm super excited. I think this is my best show ever. I haven't played live since like last May. It's February now that I'm filming this. It's been a while because I'm a much better singer than I was a year ago. I'm so much more confident in myself. I have this hat. This hat kind of changed the game. So yeah, I'm very excited. So if you're in Philly, please come. It's been really fun. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this was somewhat informative to you. Come to my show on the 27th, stream my music, etc. Okay, yeah, bye.